Hello and welcome to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar. In this video we'll be answering the question, when should I use brackets, commas or dashes as parentheses? Now as you know, each of those pairs of punctuation are parentheses, but they have a precise effect on the sentence they are placed in. So it's important to be aware of that effect so you use the correct one in the appropriate place. For example, brackets. Whilst this form of parenthesis is easy to see, brackets can make official work look rather informal and at worst disorganised. Now let's see it in the context in which it works well. Here, the ship sailed off. Stanley, the fresh-faced sailor, looked out to sea in awe and terror. Now you could say that commas could have been used in this place, but we've understood what Stanley looks like. It's additional information, and if I remove that within the brackets and take it away from the sentence, it makes sense on its own. So I've given you an informal glimpse into what Stanley looks like, and it's a one-off. Now let's take commas themselves. So this parenthesis is often confused with other commas that are used in the sentence. I think that's part of the reason why the last sentence you read involved brackets, so you couldn't confuse the placing of commas elsewhere for parentheses. But let's see this in action. Louisa listened to her mother, Miss Ostrich, with full attention and a glazed expression. Now here, I know that the additional information is the specific name of Louisa's mother, Miss Ostrich. Now I haven't revealed her first name there, but it's additional nonetheless that that is her full, focused surname. If we took that away, it makes sense. But if we had more than those two commas for parentheses, it could be very confusing for a reader. So dashes. So they're easily seen in writing, but I think it's important for you to be aware they should be used rarely to show something rather dramatic or stark in your writing. Otherwise, if it's overused, it makes you look quite disjointed in your thinking. Here's a good example. The Olympic Games, the only site of global sporting talent, was hosted in London in 2012. In this instance, I'm stating something exciting about the Olympic Games, and I'm referring to the fact that they were hosted in London. The additional information about the Olympic Games is simply adding a little bit more depth, and it makes sense because it's such a dramatic state of affairs to have that in dashes. Now it's your turn. For each of the sentences below, consider if they have used the most appropriate form of parentheses, taking into consideration the notes I just gave you on brackets, commas and dashes. Hit pause if you need thinking time. If you notice that one of them is incorrect, how would you change it? What parentheses would you replace it with? So, how did you get on? I, the youngest in my family, am often ignored. In this instance, the use of dashes between the additional information actually seems incorrect. Whilst this is informal information and it sounds dramatic, there's no exclamation mark or anything, and it would seem to me that this is not meant to be stark information, it's meant to be informal. And so for that reason, brackets would be more appropriate. Now let's try the next one. Ezra arrived yesterday, a baby son to new parents, on the maternity ward and the planet. So here we have two forms of parentheses, and they're both used correctly. A baby son to new parents is additional information between the two commas, and what's in the brackets of and the planet, referring to the fact that he's obviously new to being on Earth, is clear and informal, almost jokey. And finally, on a joyful note, you have exceeded all expectations. You are our champion as shown through your attitude and sustained success. Wow, anyone would feel amazing if they heard that. But this is correct use of the dash. The additional information there is stark and dramatic, and it's important to hear. The function of parentheses is to give us additional information, but how precisely we use that additional information is inferred and guessed from the quality of which parentheses we choose. We know that commas are the most traditional form of giving additional information in a sentence, but that brackets add more informality and that dashes add the drama. When we know that, we should always apply it. Why not subscribe to Miss Hannah Loves Grammar for all things English, literary and grammatical?